What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, just chatting. We're talking Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Spoilers, so if you haven't seen it and you don't want spoilers, you may want to tune in a little later or go watch the movie now and come back and watch the stream later. We're talking Andor Episode 10, One Way Out, which was phenomenal. But before we get started, Dave, Doug, how is it going, gentlemen? It's been a while since we streamed.
It is going... Well, I wouldn't have said this about 2 hours ago, but it's going grand. I watched my Bears lose to the freaking Lions. Basically, the Bears lost to the refs, not the Lions. So I was pretty mad, but let's leave the football to the side. It was a great week for our entertainment, with, like you said, with Andor and Wakanda Forever. So, you know, I can't wait to get into it. Doug, how you feeling?
Dave, let me ask you a question, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, may I call you Dave?
You can call me Dave. You can call me Al.
Have you seen any good movies lately, Dave?
I saw one this week, yeah.
Yeah?
It was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I did too. I actually just got back from the theater, and let me tell you, Dave, it's Dave, right?
That's me, yeah.
Okay, Dave, I am outstanding. Let me tell you, that was a really good movie, and I cannot wait to talk about it. So I'm not going to waste our time any further. Without further ado, Mr. Keith, sir, how are you?
Douglas, I am tremendous. Saw a great movie, good movie Thursday night. Saw a great episode of Andor last Wednesday. And my Packers won today. So we did lose to the Lions the last 2 weeks, the Lions have beaten my team and Dave's team. So
The Detroit Lions.
The Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
From
Now the
Michigan.
Bears have the second worst record in the league because the Lions beat them today.
On purpose? Did they do it on purpose?
Yeah, I guess. It's hard to watch. It really is.
And I know I've been talking to Tundra Walker all day because he's a fellow Packer fan, and he's probably not going to join us early on because he has not seen Black Panther. Oh, he is here. Okay, we won't. Well, we're going to get into spoilers, Tundra Walker, but we can start out. Let's bring the Black Panther Wakanda Forever over. No spoilers yet, but I do want to say the one thing. Yeah, we'll warn you, Tundra Walker. This was the best Marvel movie of this year. I think I can safely say.
Spider-Man came out last December, so yes.
This year was Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Thor, Love and Thunder, and this. It may even be the best thing that Marvel's come out with this year, including their Disney Plus TV shows.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I would agree with that.
I didn't think it was great. It wasn't a masterpiece. It had some issues with it, but I mean overall, I think the writing was good. I think the acting was good. It pushed the story forward. There wasn't any moments that I was just like, oh yeah. And Carrie, I enjoyed Thor too. I think Black Panther. Oh, she's got commercials.
Oh, she's already got commercials. Wow.
But I do think Black Panther was better than both of those movies. I enjoyed Doctor Strange too. I mean, I really thought Sam Raimi's direction came out and it was good. And that's been the thing.
I watched your at the theater review. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the movie with you two gents, as I've been under the weather. I'm still a little icky, but I'm feeling better enough that I can load myself up with about 8 cups worth of caffeine and to be able to function pretty healthy tonight for our stream, and also to go to the theater earlier today. But I watched your at the theater review, and I was kind of surprised at your reaction, Keith, and I was worried going in. I was like, oh man, is this not going to be good?
Well,
I'm sitting there thinking, oh no, Keith didn't seem excited about it, and Keith is always excited about movies.
There is, I am, that is true. And I think I sort of pinpointed. One, I was very tired that day. I didn't sleep well Wednesday night, and I came in, I think how you feel coming into a movie can affect you. I was busy at work. I didn't sleep well. There was a lot going on, stressing me out a little bit at work. And then, I had to make sure my nephew got over. Doug 838 got over here. And we got to the theater, and it's like we got there just in time, and I just felt like that day was just kind of frantic. But the one thing that I think, and I don't want to say, well, I do. I do want to say hurt this movie the most was the lack of Chadwick Boseman. I mean, they could not match his presence or charisma with any, well, about maybe 2 minutes in the movie, they had someone very charismatic and, you know, and had a great presence. But for the most part, that was missing. And I think that's what, while I was watching this whole movie, while I enjoyed it and it was good, I was just like, I felt like they're missing that, like, star power, you know, like Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Chadwick Boseman. All of those guys just command your attention when they're on screen. And this was sort of lacking that. But what they did without having them, I thought was an excellent story. Everyone who was in it was great. I thought the guy who played Namor, whose name I will not attempt because I know I'll butcher it, was tremendous. I thought he was well written, fit to the character that I expected. Yeah, Shuri, Letitia Wright, I believe her name is, did a great job. It was very emotional. Had a lot going on with that. And the way they kind of made up with this tragedy, I think they did a great job, but I still think the movie suffered a little bit without him in it.
They missed him, like, because he was very virtuous. He knows the line between right and wrong. Even he doesn't let his emotions take care of him, you know, like he did in the end of Civil War, when, you know, he was still mad at Zemo, but, you know, and he could have killed him, but he didn't, you know, because he knows right and wrong. And, you know, Captain America had that in the first, you know, in the first 3 phases, and so did Black Panther. It was missing from this movie. You're definitely right. I personally, I don't think I've changed my opinion that much since Thursday. It was like no fault of the actors. I just think it could have been written better. To me, it seemed like it was just setting up other things. Things that happened in the movie happened because I didn't think it was an overall good plot. I thought they happened because, all right, this has got to happen before this happens. It didn't flow really well for me.
See, now I will disagree with that completely. I did have a few issues, a few story-related issues, but I actually really liked the plot. I didn't know what they were going to do with it without having Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa as the Black Panther. So I went in thinking, okay, well, they probably aren't going to have your standard superhero versus villain sort of schlock that they put in most of these movies. It probably isn't going to be good guy versus bad guy. We know that Namor is going to be in it, but we don't really know like what sort of role he's supposed to fill per se. Like they weren't really clear on that in the previews. Like, and we knew that Riri Williams Ironheart was going to be in there, but we weren't sure what role she was going to play. So a lot of the story elements were kind of up in the air as far as what they were going to do. And when they basically, when it turned out the plot was 2 hidden nations, both with
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Oh, I thought we already did spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, we told Tundra Walker. We'd say we're probably going to get into spoilers now, Tundra Walker.
Yeah, I'm going to be spoiling the shit out of this. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can't talk about it without spoiling it, unfortunately.
He's out,
but,
so we can.
Yeah, when we're talking about so the story beat, the fact that there is another nation that happens to have vibranium, I thought that was actually really smart, and I loved the way that they introduced it. I love the fact that they're all saying, well, in all of our stories and and it's like, well, yeah, that's totally normal. That happens all the time in real life where, all of these, people in a community have these stories that they've passed on verbally year after year, generation after generation. So, of course, they're going to think that they were the only country, the only place in the world that happened to have vibranium because all their stories told them so.
Oh. And the Talocans weren't coming. The Talocans weren't coming forward and telling anybody. They weren't even revealing themselves.
Right? No, they stayed hidden. Yeah.
Until they felt they had to, they stayed hidden.
Well, that's not even part of the story that bothered.
That was like one of the first things that Namor said was he was praising them on like, how do you stay hidden? I love it. I respect that so much because you could tell that's all that they really wanted to do too.
And you
that's
could see too
part of the story that bugged me. It was just like, this happened, so this happened. It was like a series of events that they documented in the movie. I didn't feel like there was a plot being pushed I felt like, all right, we're witnessing just whatever happened in sequential order.
Well, yeah, isn't it a story?
No, it's not the same as having to say compare that to the Winter Soldier. You know, each had like a definite meaning to the next part of the show, to the next scene, to the next act. This one just like, all right, we need to get this done in this act. Okay, now that's done. Now we got to go do this, and we'll just instead of having a proper dialogue. I'm not saying this is bad in any way. I'm just saying this is what I liked in the movie. That all right, we got to update the people, the audience, on where we are in this story and why we're moving to this next step, rather than having actual dialogue and meaning to each movement.
See, the only time I sort of, I don't want to say, I don't want to be too critical of the story because I do think it was written very well and I thought it flowed pretty good. It had some times when it dragged to me a little bit, but the stuff with Val and stuff, when I was watching it, the only thing I can say is that was put there for later.
Yes.
Yep.
That I will completely agree with you. That I felt they stuck in there. It felt very shoehorned in. Almost like it didn't fit with the rest of the movie because it did feel very separated. And I have to wonder if those scenes were filmed separate.
Yeah. They didn't appear to be in the same place. It was probably filmed after like they had to change the plot, I would imagine.
Probably.
You know? And
the
I
other
thought
thing
the
other thing is, and this might be a little controversial, I don't think Riri Williams should have been in it.
I agree.
I think that they both didn't give her enough time, and yeah, I guess that's my main issue. They introduced her as like the MacGuffin, basically, of the movie. She was sort of the reason why all of this was happening. She built a machine, which she didn't realize what it was being used for, because that wasn't the purpose of the machine that she had built. She built a machine that inadvertently discovered more vibranium that happened to alert, oh my god, what, Tola? Is that the name of the country? What is...
Talokan?
That's it, Talokan, thank you. Couldn't remember the name of the country. It alerted them that, hey, people are going to find us if they keep digging for this vibranium. Also, this is our land. Like, we're not going to have them coming in here. And so, the fact that they introduced somebody who is going to end up going on to become a larger part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and become basically the new stand-in for, like, Iron Man, I don't know, like... I felt like she deserved a bit more screen time, and she almost could have... She probably deserves her own movie, really. And
well, she got her own show.
Yeah, well, she is going to get her own show, but the fact that they let her... The fact that in the story, she is the catalyst to this war, but they're also going to pull her into the war, a 19-year-old child, I'm sorry, I still consider her a child, pulling her into an international war, like... Yeah, I get they did that with Spider-Man, too, in Civil War, but this seemed way more extreme. Like, I don't think Spider-Man could have died. I don't think they would have killed him in Civil War. This, I think she could have died. That was a literal war between two countries. That was dangerous and not cool for the story.
But they also
Wakanda
thought...
should not have done that.
Wakanda also thought they were the best place to protect her. I don't think they understood the power of Talokan.
But don't bring her on the boat and put her in a suit and make her fight people.
Well, she wanted to. I mean,
she's not a soldier.
Yeah, but she wanted to help. She wanted to help, and of course that leads into why she's going to take on the Ironheart role in her own show. You know, I thought they did a pretty good job with her. I was worried about her being shoehorned into the story just to introduce her before her own show, but having her unwittingly build this device that finds the vibranium, I thought was the right way to go. You know, she built it just to challenge herself, and then, obviously, with what it can do, everyone's going to be hunting for her, so it seemed to make sense to me that Wakanda would bring her into their borders, because they probably think that's the safest place. I mean, that's where everyone went when Thanos was coming. So, it seems like a logical choice.
To save her from Namor, not to save her from the world. They knew Namor was coming for her.
No,
So
no,
that's
I
why
know.
they-
Need to save her from the U.S. too, because they
Oh,
stole
yeah.
the technology or bought it from her professor. I don't know if they explained that or not, how they got a hold of it.
What was the sign? It was obviously the United States, but what was the name of the country that was he was sitting under? State Eunice or something like that. That's what it said on his plaque.
Oh, I thought that was his name. I thought they had his name.
It said State UNIS, I think. I think that's what it said. But it's obvious that it was supposed to be the U.S. Because
Carrie
when-
is saying
when
it was
ship-
French.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that
'cause
was.
They were at the World
woman
Court.
there, that at the United Nations, they were France.
Yeah, because it said France on hers
Yeah.
when they spoke to the French. The reason I didn't like Riri Williams is, I mean, no, I do like her as a character. Let's not get that.
I do too.
I thought she was kind of shoehorned in. I thought her suit looked like Baymax, personally, and I'm glad that she left it in Wakanda at the end because she's going to need a different suit. That was
She
ridiculous.
does need a better suit, but still, cheap shot from them. Like, hey, thanks for fighting in our war. We're gonna keep your shit. Bye.
Yeah,
But she didn't seem too bothered by it. She was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
get it.
No,
It's
because the movie
vibrating.
was over. She didn't have time to feel bothered by it. Let's go get the fuck out.
But
And
when
yeah,
she-
Carrie
or
is
when
saying
she's
that
fighting-
that was the French thing for the United States. Edis Unis
Oh, is
is,
that what it is?
yep, because they were in
Okay.
France for that.
When she was fighting and she had that scene where she's like, woo! And I'm like, that's supposed to be a highly emotional moment, but it couldn't be because it wasn't developed right. You know, I couldn't be excited about that. I was just like, okay, she's screaming. You know, but there's moments like say when Captain America got Mjolnir and everybody in the theater erupted. You know, the theater was shaking. You know, that you got to build up to a moment like that. And
Well,
she
but you
never
can't
really
wait.
built
You
on it.
can't wait 5 movies to give her armor. Then she'd just be
No, I'm
Riri
just saying-
Williams.
I'm just saying they didn't build it up properly. That's all. I couldn't even get behind the camera much because she was very underdeveloped for that.
I was
moment.
happy she got some armor like that because she showed she had been building something, and then with the help of Wakanda, she was able to make something better, and that'll be what'll push her to make a better suit of armor when she gets back in her own show.
Oh, I I really did like her character. The little bit of screen time that she got, I really liked her character, and I like the fact that she stuck up for herself. She was sassy, she was talking back, and I loved it. She was not going to take shit from people, and I love when she grabbed that dude's phone and she was like, "Oh no, that wasn't the agreement." And she was like, "What was it? Selling her skills for like different homework projects and everything." Like,
Yeah,
the
she was
dude's a
doing
robot
homework.
hand and everything. Yeah, that's great. I love it. That is so cool.
You know what else I wanted to say? For all the people who hate the woke movement, this is how you do it. Like me and Keith were saying after the movie, there were 3 or 4 male characters in there. The rest were women, and you know what? They all kicked ass, and they didn't complain about what all the woke people said. They weren't putting anybody down. They were just out kicking ass. That's how you do it. You just, and if people have a problem
And
with
you
this
said
because
Critical
women
Drinker
are
was still
leading.
complaining about this?
What's that?
And you said the Critical Drinker was still complaining about this movie?
Not him. It was Nerdrotic.
Oh, God.
Oh, he's the worst.
And he's like complaining. Well, I learned a lot about him this last weekend, and I'm never watching that again. But he's complaining that women had to lead in a Black Panther movie. Like, it was Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Obviously they couldn't have Chadwick Boseman, you moron.
and it was funny because when we got out of the movie, Dave's like, "Did you even realize there was only 3, male characters in the movie?" I'm like, "No." And I thought about it. I'm like, "Oh wow, I guess there was." But the movie worked because its characters, we've seen.
I didn't even notice that really until you just said that.
Yeah. The Dora Milaje was in the first movie. They were in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Captain America and the White Wolf, whatever
Always
we're calling
badasses.
it. And they're awesome. And I mean, everyone they introduced, we got Namor. I did think it was funny that, he said, "My enemies call me Namor." And all the Wakandans were calling him Namor. So I guess that means they're not enemies. So I guess if you call him that, you're his enemy. But if you call him Namor, you're good. But I'm not sure.
Oh,
But
let's talk about that real quick, because this is my favorite subject when it comes to Marvel movies, because I feel between Marvel and DC, Marvel gets it right more often than not. So, so some of their stuff, like they'll do the I'm bad for the sake of being bad, but in certain cases where they've got sort of gray area, I love when they do it because Marvel seems to do it pretty well. That was one of my favorite parts about the original Black Panther, is even though he was the villain, it was
He
like,
was
yeah,
not
but
the
I
villain. He was the antagonist.
antagonist. Okay,
Yeah,
even though
I
he's
think
the antagonist, I get where he's coming from, and he made a good point. Like up until the very end, like not everything that he did was the right way to go about it, but he had a point, and I felt the
Well,
same way with Namor.
if you look at the movie from his point of view, he's doing the right thing. You know,
Yeah,
he's doing. If they totally shifted it, that they could make Wakandans look like they were the bad guys.
yeah. For a minute, I was starting to wonder. I'm like, is that what they're setting up? Like when Shuri drank the synthetic heart shaped herb. Yeah. When Shuri drank that, I'm like, oh no, are they setting her up to be a villain? I'm like, oh shit, is that the direction this movie is going? Because she was getting pretty dark there for a minute. I was like, oh shit, oh my god, was I rooting for the wrong side? Oh no.
And it was great seeing Michael B. Jordan.
The common ground. Oh, go ahead, Keith.
I was just gonna say it was nice seeing Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger in that afterlife, and him being like, "Who you gonna be? You gonna do what needs to be done, or are you gonna?" And it was nice that she's having this inner struggle. I really like that coming out of this tragedy.
So he's in the ancestral plane.
Yeah, because he died.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yep.
Good for
And he
him.
was king at one point.
That is cool. Good for
Yep.
him.
And,
And-
it's showing that inner struggle for her, which I thought was really nice. They didn't hit on it enough, but at least it was present, so they might be able to build on it later. Because I do think, with not getting into what's next, but I think Wakanda is going to play a bit of a role in the Thunderbolts movie, more so than I did prior to seeing this movie.
And her having that dark side, she was able to bond with Namor so that they were able to reach that conclusion at the end so they could be friends. And that's another big setup that I thought, because he hasn't always been a good guy. He's been back and forth.
Yeah.
Wow, this has hurt my throat tonight. He hasn't always been a good guy. So when they reach common ground like that, then in the future they can work together. But we can also know that they might not be able to work together in the future.
Oh yeah. It's like I guess it's a tentative alliance at best at the moment. It's going to be what works out for the both of them for the moment. It's like it's almost like the whole nuclear option thing, where like we're on friendly terms with certain countries because we don't want to nuke the entire world. And I think that's the way it is between Shuri's Wakanda and, well, is she in charge of it now?
Yep.
Is Shuri in charge of Wakanda? No, M'Baku is in charge of
That's
Wakanda
what I
right
thought
now.
when he jumped out.
She's
he
the
said he was
queen.
challenging
He is
him.
the challenger.
He challenged her.
But
She wasn't there to accept.
Yeah.
He's the king.
So that's what
You
I'm
don't know that
thinking.
for sure.
I think he
assuming.
is.
You don't know that for sure. That's
I-
that's a guess. You don't know
Oh,
that.
it's a guess,
It was
but
implied. I
That's
think it's
what
an
I-
educated
yeah.
guess. We may be
Well,
wrong.
You don't know that for sure. We can't say
But she's
that.
going to be the Black Panther, but not also the Queen.
Yeah.
All right, well, you know.
Thank you. Carrie says it's a solid assumption.
Yeah, I think so too. That's what I was assuming. Well, anyway, under
Oh, by the way, let me
Baku's
say one more thing,
Wakanda or
Doug.
whatever.
Sorry. One more thing.
yeah,
That fight that they challenge, is my time up? I think my time's up.
Yeah, it is.
When they challenge on that mountaintop or the cliff, that's for Black Panther. That's not for King or Queen.
No, it's for king or queen. Because Black Panther is only for the one tribe. Like M'Baku's tribe wouldn't become the Black Panther. They could lead, but he wouldn't be the Black
M'Baku-
Panther. He would get the heart-shaped herb, but he would not be the Black Panther.
Yes, he would.
No, he would not.
Go back and watch that. This is how they established it in the movie, because he is the king of his people.
I
He is
think
not
the
the king of
implication
Wakanda.
is whoever
Right,
is
but-
king is also Black Panther. I think that's just how it's always been. Because when Killmonger challenged T'Challa, he took over he was the king when he pushed T'Challa over the edge. But then he also ate a heart-shaped herb on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think any leader eats the heart-shaped herb, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean they're the Black Panther, because each tribe in Wakanda has their own god that they, too. And M'Baku worships the ape god. I can't remember what his name is. And if he would have, he has his own name in the comics that is not M'Baku, but they decided not to use it, which
Why is it controversial?
it's man-ape.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
good
they're,
idea.
but
Don't
he wouldn't be
use
Black
that.
Panther because that's not the god his people worship. The tournament is to say who is ruling Wakanda, not to be the Black Panther. Killmonger
that's
just
what I
took on that armor because he probably thought it was pretty cool, and he was the Golden Jaguar.
I didn't get that from that movie. I mean, it might be that way in the comics, but I'm just going by what's canon in the movies, and I didn't. That's not what. That's not what I think at all. I think that was just for Black Panther. I mean, because obviously his father was the king of Wakanda, but he wasn't the Black Panther.
So
His father was the Black
when
Panther.
when Killmonger
Not at the time. T'Challa was the Black Panther.
So if Killmonger
while his
hadn't fought-
his dad was still king.
So if Killmonger hadn't thought that he had killed T'Challa, T'Challa wouldn't have been Black Panther, but would have still been king. Is that what you're saying?
Say that again.
When Killmonger challenged T'Challa,
Okay.
had he thought that T'Challa was still alive, had he thought that he didn't stab him and push him over the edge of that cliff, are you saying that T'Challa would have still been king, just not Black Panther?
He would have been both, because he was both at the
So
time
what?
that happened.
Okay, I'm not understanding what you think the challenge is for then.
The challenge is to become the Black Panther.
Okay, so if T'Challa had survived, what would he have been in the challenge between him and Killmonger?
He would still be the king. He was already the king because his dad died.
Right?
And he was still been the Black Panther because he was still alive after the battle.
So you have to die, is what you're saying.
That was never said in
That's
the movie.
not
You're
how the
making
challenge
assumptions.
works.
Yeah,
It is not a challenge to the death.
What do they... No, I'm not making assumptions.
yeah, you are.
Oh,
You're
that's
assuming
what they
that if
said.
someone lives, then they're
The
the
only
king.
reason that he didn't is because he yielded.
No.
M'Baku yielded.
That challenge is for leadership of Wakanda, not for the role
It's
of
for
Black
leadership
Panther.
of Wakanda.
All
Go
right,
back and
you
watch
guys
the
prove
first
that
Black
to me.
Panther.
Yeah, we can watch it again. We'll have a watch party. We'll get a Discord up. We'll have a little watch party. But
Yeah.
and I know that's how it is in the comics, and I'm not saying just because it's that way in the comics, it's Tundra Walker back.
Next
Yeah.
topic.
We still got.
He doesn't like our actuallys.
He does not. Oh wait,
Or is it because he hasn't seen it yet?
he has not
Have you
seen it
ruined
yet. He's waiting for his son to get home from college to see it, so he
Oh,
has
okay.
not seen it yet.
Well, I didn't get a chance to give it a score because I wasn't there at the theater with you gentlemen.
Go ahead now.
I'll go ahead and give it my overall score. If you want to, but can we get a repeat of what you guys said yours were?
6.5, sir.
Okay,
Seven.
So Dave gave it a 6.5. Keith,
I gave it a 7.2,
you gave it a 7.2.
and I think Doug of the 838 gave it a 6.52.
He did.
I was hovering anywhere between a 7.5 and an 8, so I think I'm going to give it a 7.8.
Wow.
Yeah, I really, really liked this movie. I thought
Very
that it.
good.
I enjoyed the story. I thought the plot was great. I thought the story was great. I thought it was definitely rewatchable. This one for sure is rewatchable for me. There are not very many of these where I'm like instantly thinking, oh my god, I want to rewatch the hell out of that. But I would rewatch this in a heartbeat. Like I said, my few gripes were I don't think Riri should have even been in it, and I don't think they should have had any focus on Val and the CIA agent. I thought that was too detracting.
Ross.
Yeah.
My question is, what score would it have to be under to not be rewatchable? Like if it's under 6, would you rewatch it?
See, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if I could define it that way because I think sometimes, like, I'll think a movie's bad, but I'll still want to rewatch it for certain things. Where there could be a movie that I think is really good, but I'm like, I have no desire to rewatch this. And I do think thinking about this movie, since I was hoping to go again this weekend, I wanted to take Sully and Tessie and the wife to see it again, but it's so long we couldn't find the time to actually see it this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing it again because the more I think about things that happen, the more I want to see it again and go through it. I think this is going to be one of those movies that over time, it's going to be liked more and more as we go on. Where, you know, sometimes you get those movies where you watch it, and like Aquaman, we've talked about this 100 times. The first time I saw it, I enjoyed it. I was like, that's pretty good. I liked it. And then as time has went on, I don't even want to watch it anymore, even when it's on.
I agree with you on that. And by the way, Carrie, yes, it was emotional, and I have words for that movie. How dare I went into that movie expecting to sit there and choke down some popcorn and, sit there by myself because I wasn't with my fellow nerds, watch some Black Panther, and you made me cry in the first 5 minutes? How dare you?
I got choked up myself. Yeah, that was really, especially the silent part.
Yes.
And the Marvel thing.
The logo.
Yeah.
I did not expect it to be that much,
that really was
that fast.
Movie. Yeah.
I was waiting for a nice little intro to do some things and then get into that, and they just went right into it.
They went right into it.
100% full steam ahead, and it was like, damn. But I was thinking about that too. You know, I've thought about this movie a lot since we've seen it.
Carry the other tragedy too. I'm like twice in the same movie. It's like, goddamn, I did not expect that to happen.
What other tragedy?
Yeah, the Queen.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I was thinking about that moment when it happened. I was thinking about when Chadwick actually passed away, because there was no story. I still remember it was like a Friday night, I think, and had put Sully down to bed, and I was sitting on a couch, and I turned on some sports ball thing. I can't remember what it is at this time, and I started scrolling through Twitter, and I had seen like "Rest in Power" Chadwick Boseman. I'm like, this can't be real. There is no way. And the more I started scrolling, the more I started seeing it, and major trades talking about it. And I got online, and I'm like, what the heck happened? And it's like, you come to find out he's had colon cancer for like 3 years, stage 4, and he just didn't want to talk about it with anybody, didn't want to make it public, and it was like, while I was watching that, I was thinking about the emotions I had that night and like how just stunned I was, and what a loss it was. And it was like, damn, I needed a moment in that theater.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, yes, absolutely.
But Carrie she has some questions.
Before we get into her questions, I just want to talk about that other tragedy for a minute.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because they did a little trailer trick when they showed in the trailer that, the mom was like, I've lost everyone, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, God, is something going to happen to Shuri in this movie? And then instead, that happens to her and whatever. I was like, oh my God, you guys are
just mean.
That whole family. Mean. That's right. Come on, Ryan Coogler. What did T'Challa and his family do to you?
Well, I mean, if they have more Black Panther movies, she can still be in them, But I also think, didn't the guy who played T'Challa die as well? So he couldn't even come back to do one.
I think he did, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could be the thing.
But again, Shuri got over. No, I guess not. I was gonna say she got over her mom dying really quick, but she was just filled with anger, and she decided to let. What's that saying? Something better part of valor.
Caution is the better part of valor. Is that it?
Yeah. And so she did that for her country and for his country, rather than just take him out. She's like, let's make an alliance, Even though
you think about it, there was more in common between their two peoples than there were differences.
Well, and think about it. I mean, Talokan has to be pretty, at least Namor, pretty confident, because they never gave him up. They never said about this country when the U.S. and the CIA and stuff was coming at him, and they were like, hey, Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I mean, they talked to Everett a little bit, but they never spilled the beans. So he's got to be comfortable with him. And it's almost, one of the things that I saw that was just barely hinted at the end with Namorita was her kind of questioning his leadership. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we backing down right now? We should be going full steam ahead. He's like, no, it was.
He was all like evil villain. He's like, oh, we're not.
But they're starting to question his leadership, and in the comics, he's been kicked off as king, multiple times because of that. Because he's looking at more of the big picture, and they're all like Atuma, maybe challenging him for the throne at some point. Even though they made Namor so powerful in this, and Atuma did not seem as powerful, so it'd be hard. But they may be starting to have fractions in his people against him. And the same may be coming for people in Wakanda with Shuri. I mean, the fact, well, maybe in Baku, I don't think we'll have to find out who's actually ruling Wakanda now. But what's going on, because, what's next? We could see the CIA trying to infiltrate Wakanda. And if they know that Talokan also has vibranium, they may be going after both countries. And we may see Wakanda and Talokan teaming up against the Thunderbolts, anyone who they can stand against, because Val looked like someone who is not going to back down. As now that she's director of the CIA, she's going full steam ahead with her team of supers. She wants that because she knows what she can do with it.
That looks like a Phase 5 project, since they haven't announced anything like that. But I want to make a statement on the way you keep saying, you don't have a problem with saying Namor, but realize you keep saying that makes you his enemy.
That's right. I am his enemy. Now, Carrie makes a good point. Why is he so powerful? Like, it seems he could beat the Hulk. If he's in water, he has been shown to be as strong as the Hulk. The problem is no one's going to fight him underwater in their right mind, because that's where he's at his strength. And it was nice they kind of set up. I thought they did a good job of showing him jump back in the water in that first fight, so that they could put it together that, hey, he needs the water to keep his strength up. They didn't just have this aha moment where let's just, let's use some heat on him and do all this. But yeah, they say if he's in the right element, he's as strong as the Hulk. So
yeah, just like Aquaman. I mean, Aquaman needs water. If you dry him out, he's done.
Yeah. Yep. And they did make all of the Atlanteans, which I thought made sense, because they're dealing with the pressures of the ocean. They're going to be a little stronger.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. Like you said, do you go down so far and your body will just explode.
Crush your bones.
Yeah, crush all your bones.
Yeah. I like how he said that, like, so jokingly, and she's looking, like, horrified, like, okay, you kidnapped me, and now you're telling me that all my bones might be crushed? Cool.
Oh,
cool, dude.
You know what? That one, I think that was the scene, that one joke, it didn't work for me. They obviously went for the joke. I was like, that kind of didn't fit.
It really didn't fit, because it was a very somber
serious,
movie.
Like, almost the entire time.
Yeah.
There was almost no normal Marvel quip jokes.
Yep. But remember, he didn't kidnap her. She asked to go to Talokan.
True. True.
No, he did keep her in the cave.
When he said, crush your bones, and then she looks at him and he goes, or we can put you in a suit. And that was the only moment of levity from him at all. And it just didn't fit for me.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. You got more questions?
Be no plane travel lost time for underwater transport.
I'm trying to. I don't get it either.
Are you talking about from their country to Wakanda? I think that must be what she means.
Yeah,
because they're in South America. Right?
Oh, Riri was in South America. I thought she was at.
That's where. Oh my god! I keep saying the country wrong.
Talokan.
Oh, Mexico. Yeah,
Talokan's in South America. So
I thought it was the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico.
Oh, maybe it was. Yeah, I guess you're right. Well, either way, it is. It's still quite a ways away from, Wakanda, Africa. So, yeah, I did. That is a little. I guess I wasn't thinking about that, but yeah, I guess I used Game of Thrones logic.
Yeah, we don't know when they left when they showed up the first time, and we don't know there was something. It was no, it was something
That's
else
where
I
he
was
was
watching.
born. I don't think that's where he was born there, according to the movie. So I don't think that's where they're from. I think they
Do you
moved.
think maybe their country is actually like somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic then?
Probably
Okay.
just because it's so huge and it hasn't been seen, it has to be pretty deep underwater because when they showed it, it was pretty immense, and they would definitely have to be way down there.
But the
And
spy was in Haiti, the same spot to free them. Mm.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because
What's her
Yeah.
name? Was it Edie? What's her name in the movie? I know her real life name. Keith, you're good with characters. I'm good with their real names.
I know I can't remember her character name.
Who?
Uh, Lupita Nyong'o. It was Black Panther's, lover.
Oh, his girlfriend.
Yeah.
What was her name? Oh my gosh.
It's something real simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're eating corn dogs, Sierra.
Totally drawing a blank.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I'm gonna
But
look it up.
yeah, she got there kind of quick. But we don't know how long this movie, what kind of time frame it all took over because a lot did happen. I mean, they were traveling back and forth, and at first I was like,
Nakia.
Nakia.
That's
yes.
it.
When they decided to take that ship out to sea and fight the Talakans in the sea, I'm like, what is wrong with these people? That is the worst
Yeah.
plan I've ever seen. But it was all to, they knew they had to trap Namor to get him, basically to defeat him. And they knew if they went somewhere else, he might not come out in full force. They basically were like, we got to spring this trap and make it look so enticing. He's not going to back down. You're going to.
Yeah.
We need a counter for every time Sierra's eating corn dogs.
Okay.
The cat knocked down my painting. Hang on.
Oh, well, look at that. My painting's still up. Look at that. And I don't know if Tundra Walker is still on and notice, but the little Hawkeye he got me for my birthday is over there too.
Very nice.
All right.
Now, I don't know how much more. The one other thing I want to talk about, it was funny, I was thinking about what's next a lot with this movie, and most of it dealing with the Thunderbolts, because I do think this is going to be Val trying to get vibranium from any means necessary, whether it's, getting it from Wakanda, getting it from Talokan, or what she's going to do. But for the longest time, I did not think that we were going to see the Red Hulk in the Thunderbolts. Harrison Ford playing.
Mm-hmm.
But now I keep thinking they need someone powerful to, as a diversion, most likely, like send Red Hulk into Wakanda to smashing things, and they'll send everyone to stop him. And then you can sneak in with Ghost or, Black Widow or somebody to try to get what you need to do. But
Yeah, they have so many characters that are activated now that they could just
Yeah.
so many different things they can do.
If this phase has done anything, it has definitely been the longest long game of setting up all these other characters in order to put together, I assume, either the Thunderbolts and or the Young Avengers or both, or I don't know. But
Yeah, they're really-
there's, like,
I'm
They're
not
really
on the Young Avengers train. I'm going to lose interest in that. But go ahead, Keith.
Well, they're really setting up a lot of stuff with not a lot of time until we get to Kang, Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Are they going to be able? I hope they don't rush, the Wakanda, Talokan possibly going to war with the U.S. and stuff. And I hope they don't rush the Young Avengers. I hope they play, slow play it a little bit, introduce these characters and then maybe post Secret Wars. We can start seeing the Young Avengers come together and maybe we can see, all of this coming. I was telling Dave at the movie, the only thing I don't like about it being Talokan, Atlantis attacks has a nice ring to it. Like, Talokan attacks doesn't ring the same. It doesn't have the same liberation.
Talokan terrorizes.
The
You know what it
terror of
sounds like? It sounds like
Talcott.
There you go.
yeah, a phone company coming after you for your bill. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, but they've already got Atlantis with DC and Aquaman. I guess give it something different. Why not?
Yeah, and it worked. I thought. I mean, they still got the character right. I mean, Namor was still a very conceited, very sure of himself.
Yeah.
And
So now you're friends. He's Namor now.
at times, sometimes I'm mad at him. Sometimes I'm not so much.
I will say that was the one thing that like kept me, going back and forth on, and also what made me kind of feel like he was a good antagonist. Again, I love the way that Marvel does a lot of their antagonists. It's the fact that I could understand from his point of view, maybe he felt we do need to make a first strike. We need to be known. They need to realize, they need to fear us from the get-go and not take advantage of us. We can't give them the opportunity to.
If they tried to attack the surface world, they wouldn't have a problem. I don't think that they would have a problem with, well, maybe, not the superheroes, but overall the Earth. People walking on this dry land would be, taken out pretty easily.
Easy pickings.
Yeah.
And the fact that, I think the only thing that they may run into some trouble with, and that's only because I don't think we saw Wakanda at their strongest. They don't seem to be as technologically advanced. At least they didn't show that they were, because I don't think that they have any sort of way of melting down, metal under the ocean. So they're not able to really do a whole lot in the way of like forming their their vibranium into anything.
Yeah, they were more worried about them discovering them than worrying about their actually vibranium. Because even though he was wearing it in all of his jewelry, you're right.
Yes, Carrie, you're right. Those water bombs, I forgot about those damn things. Holy shit.
Those are amazing.
Yes. God dang. That was some scary shit. When I saw them hauling that net, I was like, oh, they're boned. Oh, Wakanda's boned.
When he comes up with that, I think it was an axe. I think that guy swung. That was made from vibranium, but where did they forge it? Like that's like what you're asking.
I don't know. They weren't very clear on that.
Well, I think they have ways to forge weapons out of vibranium. They just don't have the advanced tech like the beads and some of the other stuff that Shuri has because they don't have anyone who is maybe as, I don't want to say as smart because they're probably as smart. They're just not into technology. They're more about culture and things of that nature. So they'll have weapons made out of it, but they won't have, other things. But maybe now they will. Maybe now they know they need to hide themselves better.
I wonder if they're going to end up now sharing things with each other, or if Shuri is going to be like, no, hold up. We're friendly. We're on friendly terms with you. We're not sharing shit with you, though.
Yeah, she just met.
She did say we'll protect the oceans with you or whatever.
Okay.
So they will come to the raid if needed. But yeah, I don't think she's going to be sharing like, hey, this is what I invented, because I don't think she fully trusts them yet that they won't come back after Wakanda.
I'm sorry, I would not give them like advanced AI and all this other shit. Oh boy, wow. I was watching this this one goofy anime the other day. And it's called, oh my god, it was a long title. I can't remember the name of the whole title. It was like really long, but it was about these genius high school students that all happen to be from Japan. And one was like a Tony Stark, and it was like a super inventor by the age of 5. One was basically a super capitalist and was able to buy and sell everything that he wanted to become a billionaire by 12 or whatever. And so basically that was like each one of these people had like some super duper gift or whatever, and then they all flew into another dimension on this airplane at the same time, and they were like in some Dungeons and Dragons medieval land, and they're like, cool, we're gonna like turn this whole entire world up on its head with our advanced technology, and we're gonna show them democracy. And like within a week's time, they invented a nuke, and then 2 days later launched the nuke.
Oh my god!
So I imagine that And Namor would be a lot like that. You'd be like, oh, sweet, a nuke. I'm going to launch it.
We got it. We might as well use it.
Let's bring up G12. What does G12 do? I don't know.
Right, yeah.
Holy shit, what does G13 do?
You know, the other thing I do want to talk about is where Ironheart's story goes from here. Because the one thing that stood out to me when she said, and they were like, why did you build it? She goes, they said I couldn't. I had to challenge myself. I think that's when she gets back, she's going to be like, I need to build a new armor as good as the vibranium without using vibranium, and it's going to be a challenge. But I do hope they change the look of it a little bit, because I wasn't a big fan of the way it looked in Wakanda Forever.
The weird like shoulder things is a choice.
They got to make it more form fitting because it's so bulky. I don't know. Obviously Tony Stark's was a lot more form fitting, so he could have more maneuvers. That's what probably should be.
I will grant that she's a different person with different ideas, so obviously she's not going to have the same identical design in mind when she makes her suit. But he clearly was modeling it after Iron Man. So do you think she would look at it and be like, "Oh, that works. That doesn't work"?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think she definitely could be influenced by things.
I wonder if her power source is different.
Well, it has to be.
Yeah, she's probably not using an arc reactor. I mean, they didn't mention it if she was.
Mm-hmm.
But that'll be deeper dived into on her show, I'm sure.
I
wonder if the show will start before that attack.
I don't think so.
No?
Only because, she's going to have to, the whole thing with dealing with the hood and the supernatural, technology versus the supernatural, I think she's going to have to be post, this whole Wakanda thing and have her own, set of armor, especially if Mephisto does, show up in a little bit, whether it's just a cameo, granting the hood some powers or what we're going to get. But, and that's a good point, Carrie. Val may be coming after Riri also.
Yeah.
I was going to say, did Val even know about Riri in that movie?
She did.
She did. She said that she bugged the bees.
Well, remember, she said, I know you told her. She said, I know you told the queen about the scientist or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because I bugged the bees. Before you even got here, I bugged the bees.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so now it's really tangent time, because I was thinking of something else while I was thinking about this movie the other night after we saw it.
Okay.
Remember, Secret Invasion said that they have infiltrated the highest levels of government. And since Val is now the director of the CIA, Skrull watch, maybe?
She's a Skrull? Bringing in a character and then making her a Skrull immediately?
Well, then we can get the real Val post Secret Invasion. But I'm still, hearing that Secret Invasion takes place during the blip has thrown me completely off on any sort of
that is
theory
really
paloozas.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. So I was having a discussion with Carrie earlier. She was talking. She had asked a question about Wakanda Forever. She wanted to know why they didn't really bring up the blip except for in this one sort of thing. They had mentioned Thanos and Wakanda, but they didn't mention whether it affected Namor and his people at all. And so my response to her, I was thinking, well, maybe, and because I don't know, maybe Marvel wants to move past it, but I forgot that supposedly Secret Invasion is supposed to take place during the blip until you just brought that up. So I don't know. I don't know if they want to move past it or what, because
maybe because the movie was already 2 hours and 41 minutes, they didn't want to deal with anything dealing with Talokan and the blip, because then it could have hit 3 hours, and they were probably okay, we get enough here. But I would assume some Talokans got blipped. Because I'm sure...
Well, and next year is 2023. That would be 5 years after the blip. So I wonder if everything will be all right. Stop. Phase 4, there was a lot of things being, blipped back to reality in their stories. maybe they'll be done with all that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Carrie says, but I feel like that would have been a great for him. That would have driven him from the ocean. Like,
Yeah,
if
that might have pissed him off.
That's concerning. Yeah, you would think that he would have made his appearance known, because I can't imagine he knew about Thanos.
No, unless he has spies that snuck around and figured it out. But yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Like, half his people suddenly disappear. He's, he's a rage ruler. He rules with his rage. He'd have been like, I know it's the surface world. Let's go. Telecom terror. Oh yeah,
The story is white colonizers killing his people. Yeah.
I thought that joke that I can't remember her name now. From the Dora Milaje, when she opened the door.
Oh, yes.
A colonizer in chains. Now I've seen it all.
Oh, that was great. That was hilarious. So, Carrie says, that's my biggest Marvel fail, but they have so few, I give it to them.
Yeah.
So, I think the main issue with Marvel is the fact that they keep wanting to introduce new characters and new large groups, and we kind of ran into a similar issue with the Eternals in a way, where they basically had to kind of like hand wave it and be like, oh yeah, we didn't do anything about Thanos or the blip or anything because they weren't deviants. And we just had to accept that that was the reason why, like, these people who had literally been on Earth since the inception of man, like, never got involved with anything. And it's like, oh, because they weren't deviants, you didn't feel that you needed to do anything about it? Alright, I guess. So, yeah, Marvel does that. Whenever it's like, it's not something they've already brought up in any of their previous movies, but they still want to introduce these characters. The thing with the blip is, it created, like, waves. It was like throwing a pebble into a lake, and it's still having all of these lasting effects. And I just don't know if Marvel thought far enough ahead to figure out, like, what we're going to do with every introduction of new groups of characters dealing with this huge thing that we did.
Like X-Men and Fantastic Four, where have they been during all this? If the Fantastic Four, you could say the negative zone. You can say that. That'd be fine. They can make it.
Or if the quantum realm is the negative zone of the MCU, yeah, maybe we're going to get a hint of the Fantastic Four and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Like, they know of Kang, they've come across Kang, and they were there, got stuck, and haven't come out, or went somewhere else so they weren't around. But yeah, it is an odd thing when they're bringing new characters in that were around during this attack, and did nothing about it. But you got to think some of them they'd be like, like if you're Kate Bishop, how would you know that this giant purple dude is attacking Wakanda?
I don't know. The way that they're having that deep dive discussion in WandaVision about, like, knowing every detail that happened on the battlefield, and we were kind of, like, talking about it in our What's Next, like, how did they know all that?
Yeah, from Ant-Man's podcast. That's the only way they can know that, right? But
everybody
Doug, that would make your Infinity Stone theory perfect for the X-Men. That's where mutants came from. That would work for that story. I know they're not going to go that way, but that would explain why they weren't there, and why they didn't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be bothered with the troubles of men.
Yeah, Wolverine's probably hanging out in Canada just drinking and hunting bear.
No, he's hunting Wendigos.
Wendigos.
Oh, that's what it was. Oh my God, so the other night I've been rewatching X-Men the animated series.
Oh yeah,
just for fun. And Jubilee and oh my God, who was it? They were like, oh, we're gonna leave and go do this, and they're gonna sneak off, and they like get to this place right away, and like, who was it? It was Iceman. They like had Iceman like captured. They wouldn't let him leave, and she freed him, and then they took off and was going to this place, and the Beast like was in the room, and he walked out, and he turned around, and he came back. He's like, oh my God, they escaped, and they show like him and Professor in the black What's their ship called? I almost called it the Blackbeard, but I can't
Not the
remember what it's called.
Quinjet.
Well, it doesn't matter. But they're in like one of the fastest flying things ever, and Jubilee and Iceman beat them there. And I'm like, okay, this wasn't written very well. It's great that we get to see them in their ship, but there's no way Jubilee and Iceman would have beat them there because Beast found out like a minute after they left.
All right, we'll catch you guys down there.
Oh, and by the way, Keith, is there any other reason to watch X-Men other than it's for fun?
True.
That was a good cartoon.
Doug,
And
did you catch the word that I mentioned in our theater review? The one word in the movie that Namor dropped? Yep.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I didn't want to see it.
Yeah,
then.
he said that real slick. He just it was a normal thing that everybody should be used to hearing by now, and I'm like, wow. So they're all in. Like Marvel, just like, yep, mutants are thing now. Yeah, I was just like,
that was pretty cool.
But you know what? I was disappointed. They didn't do the when he said it.
That's what Keith said. That's funny. They should have done.
So it's not real. It's not real until they do the little music.
You're not a real mutant until we hear the music.
Right. Yep.
But anything else for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever? Talk about the effects on the Ironheart series. We talked about Thunderbolts.
I was going to when I first sat down, I'm like, all right, am I going to, bring up the CG? Am I gonna focus on it? Do I care? And then I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna care this time around. And there was a few things that I noticed that it looked cartoony, but I guess I was just so excited to finally see a Marvel movie in theaters again, which it's starting to become a little bit more regular again, and I was so excited to see it. I was like, I'll give it a pass because that's what most of these are anymore. They're all just giant CG cartoons, and they're exciting, and I love them, and I don't care.
Yeah, when the story's good and everything like that, I'm not going to nitpick about any CGI issues, anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with me complaining about those plot points, all right, that doesn't mean I didn't like it. That's just what I noticed. That's how I felt about it. I still like it.
Oh, no, you gave it over a 5, so I knew that you didn't not like it.
You knew I liked it more than Morbius, right?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought you gave Morbius a 10. Didn't you say masterpiece? No. And it was so funny.
After the second time I watched it,
cinematic masterpiece.
We were in
better than Schindler's List, I believe, is what Dave said.
I do think he said better than Citizen Kane.
Yes.
But we were in Target after we went to dinner the other night, and I saw Morbius on Blu-ray, 4K, and I'm like, I think I found Dave's Christmas present.
Oh my God, that'd be great.
And don't forget to hit us up at Twitter, leave a comment down below, and we will see you next time on Not Your Status Quo.